Hi, my name is Jamie Leidy, and this is my presentation on the legal issues within kinesiology. For my facility background, I have chosen the athletic training room. The athletic training room is designed for athletic trainers to evaluate student athletes who could have suffered a sports-related injury or have questions about an injury prevention. In the athletic training room, it is equipped with observation tables, first aid equipment, and also some specialty equipment for rehabbing injured players, such as whirlpools, slide boards, and whatever else athletic trainers might need for rehab. Now, there are some legal issues within the athletic training room. The first case I want to talk about is the Lichtenberg versus Gettysburg College. Now, there was an athlete who suffered from a fatal heart attack during an off-season practice for the Gettysburg College lacrosse team. During the practice, no students or athletic training staff was present. The parents filed a wrongful death and survival action against the Gettysburg College, stating that negligence was present and there was a risk of harm while practicing the sport. The case was originally ruled in the Gettysburg College favor. However, based on the appeal, the case was then turned and ruled against the college, stating that they should have been liable for an act of negligence. It is a foreseeable event that many students suffer a cardiac arrest during an athletic activity, or can suffer a cardiac arrest. The second case I picked was Rios versus the Grossmont Union High School District. Colter Rios was playing in a JV football game for the Grossmont High School. Colter felt his ankle pop during a play. The athletic trainer taped his ankle and sent him back out to play when he said he was comfortable. The head athletic trainer was not present at the game, so it was a student trainer who had been assisting the head athletic trainer that examined Colter's ankle. After taping the ankle and having him perform a few drills, Colter said he felt fine and was sent back into play. When he returned to play, Colter was tackled again and broke 2 cervical vertebrae and injured his spinal cord. His mom filed a suit saying that the athletic trainer should not have allowed him to return to play with an injured ankle. She believes that the first injury played a role in the injury he received that resulted in a debilitating injury. In the end, the athletic trainer was not charged because the California schools are not required to have a certified athletic trainer on staff. Now, the third case for legal issues in athletic training I picked was Williams versus Athletico. In this case, Drew Williams suffered an injury resulting in a head injury. Athletic trainers who were certified and failed to assess Williams' injuries properly. Williams' first injury was a concussion. Williams was sent back to play and was hit again, which caused him to experience a second impact syndrome. Upon the second evaluation, Williams began to seize and became unresponsive. This injury resulted in Williams receiving injury of personal and a pecuniary nature, which left him disabled. His parents are filing suit to claim negligence on the athletic trainer for missing the first concussion. Now here we're going to talk about risk management. The first one I want to go over is the failure to provide a safe environment. Per the risk management strategies for athletic trainers, in the athletic training room, it is up to the athletic trainer to make sure that all the equipment in the building is up to code and safe to use. It is a risk because if they are using equipment in the training room for rehabilitation and it isn't safe, they could cause further injury or worse, cause another injury. The environment that is also that of the trainer and how they should conduct with their students. Be careful for loose rugs, mats, slippery floors, and poor lighting and stray equipment. Now the second one is mistreated injury. Per risk management strategies for athletic trainers, if the athletic trainer is treating the injury that they have misdiagnosed or that they were told about, it could cause the current injury to get worse and or cause more injuries. It's also important that if they have student trainers, they check their work before administering treatment to make sure they didn't miss anything in the initial assessment. Now the third one is going to be the cause of injury. Per risk management strategies for athletic trainers, when the athletic trainer is helping to stretch an athlete for an event, it is important that they are careful not to cause injury if the athlete isn't properly warmed up, as well as making sure they are using the proper agents when treating them, to ensure they don't further cause injury or one outside of what they already are experiencing. Now, here's a way you can mitigate some of those risks that you might occur inside the athletic training room. First is to know and comply with the national, state, and local laws in regards to athletic training. You need to maintain the clinical competencies relevant with athletic training, exercise care when treating patients, make sure that clinical documentation practices comply with the standards promulgated by the NATA, or the National Athletic Trainers Association. You need to be vigilant about protecting athletes from the most common types of injuries. And lastly, have a plan of emergency if an athlete needs to go to the hospital. Next, we're going to talk about some employment laws within athletic training, such as hiring, wrongful termination, and pay. So the first one we're going to talk about is hiring. Hiring discrimination is protected under federal law. An employer cannot discriminate in its hiring process based on the application's race, national origin, gender, pregnancy, age, disability, or religion. In Crocati versus McNeil, the defendant was applying for a position listed as a physical education and athletic trainer. The defendant was not hired because he only had qualifications for athletic training, not physical education. In this case, they hired someone who wasn't certified in both, seeing as how the athletic training position was considered extracurricular. In order to combat this issue in a training room, you would need to make sure that the employees in which you are hiring are fully qualified and not just half qualified. You should ask to see documentation stating that you have all the certifications necessary and required for the job. Pay. Pay discrimination occurs when employees performing similar work and do not receive similar pay. Pay discrimination can also occur when pay has an unlawful bias such as sex, race, or disability. Now for this one, I wasn't able to find a case that directly relates to athletic training, so I wasn't able to provide a court case for you guys. Now our last one is wrongful termination. Wrongful termination is when a situation arises when an employee's contract of employment has been terminated by an employer and the termination breaches terms of the contract of the employment or a statute, provision, or rule of the employment law. Now in Moshark versus the University of Tennessee, the case here is where there was a merge within the male and female aspect of the athletic training room, and the female trainer was let go of her position due to the merge. The merge only allowed for a male trainer in a male and female facility. There were no proper way in deciding other than there are more male sports than female. In order to avoid this type of situation, you need to make sure that when there's a thing such as a merge, that you take the proper steps in choosing who stays and who leaves. You need to make sure you follow the guidelines in the proper merger so that each person has a fair shot. It also needs to come down to qualifications and experience in the field as well. Now we're going to talk about our application and faith integration. Throughout this course, I have learned some valuable things that I can apply towards my future career plans. I plan to become a teacher and hopefully one day teach kinesiology as well. This course has taught me all the necessary things I need to be successful. I have learned enough that I could eventually be teaching this class myself one day. I have also learned about employment laws and know what is fair and unfair in the legal manner to being hired, fired, and even paid. I also have learned the fair treatment of people and how to minimize the risk and actions that I perform. If I were to become a head athletic trainer, I would be on the lookout for things such as qualifications in those I hire, equal pay for my athletic trainers within the facility. I would also make sure that all employees were treated the same and that they would all receive equal opportunity. I would make sure that the facility was also up to code with all of the equipment and tools necessary in order for the staff to succeed. Here I'm going to talk about some Bible verses that I think could apply to people who are managing things. The first one I chose was, "He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city." And that's Proverbs 16:32. And this verse I interpreted as saying, you need to be mindful of the situation at hand, not rush to judgment if an employee does something wrong. Make sure you have all of the facts before rushing to judgment. Now, the next verse I picked is, "Be diligent to know the state of your flocks and attend to your herds." This is Proverbs 27:23. And this verse I interpreted as saying you need to be aware of your employees and their needs. If you notice they need something or look like they're struggling, you need to reach out and offer to help them. And the last verse I picked is, "Do not withhold good from those whom it is due, when it is in power of your hands to do so." And this third verse I interpreted as saying you need to give credit where credit is due. If an employee does something that is helpful or beneficial to you, make sure they know it's appreciated and that their hard work is valued. And then here on my last page, we're going to see some of my references that I used. And so thank you for watching my presentation.